So there's this third-person action horror game for the PlayStation 5 that was announced in 2025, January 17th, called Code Violet. It says, in the 25th century, it is said that mankind narrowly survived a cataclysm that left Earth uninhabitable and in ruins. So the human race basically has to look for a new world, but apparently these humans are sterile, and they're trying to preserve what's left of mankind. And there's some aliens or creatures that have overrun it. So I'm looking at the trailer, and ew. The first thing that seemed very uncanny was the lack of talent to be able to create feet, which is like, what is this? That put me off immediately. I mean, the game's probably good, but when I saw that, I was like, really? You are showing a almost 3-minute trailer, basically a 2-minute trailer, and the first shot of this trailer is focusing on the character's feet. And this is what you released? Is this the alien? Like, what are you? Come on. Anyway, that weirdness aside, it looks like it has the makings for an interesting alien survival type of game, which I'm all for. Nothing wrong with the premise, nothing wrong with the story, and then we got these dinosaur-looking things that makes it even more intriguing to me because I love dinosaurs, and then we see it, like, growing. I don't know if this is supposed to be like a xenomorph dinosaur, and I'm loving it. It'll be pretty interesting to see different forms of aliens or creatures in general, which is something that always intrigues me. And it's dinosaurs, come on, like look at this. But then there is a deeper discussion surrounding the game. And people have been joining on the discussion that TeamKill Media, the studio, started, where they said, for those asking us about a PC version of Code Violet, the reason we're not bringing it to PC is we don't want anyone modding vulgar versions of the main character as well as other characters in the game. We hold our voice actresses and actors with high regard, as well as our artistic vision for the game and story, and reject any form of destroying that with sexual mods. Making a joke out of our art and possibly tarnishing the reputation of our voice actresses and actors is not worth the extra money we can make.
Wow, that was weird.
Oh boy. That's a really wild thing to say, and all I can hear people saying is, well, let's see how much you can hold to that when you realize you're not making any money just based off of you clutching your pearls. And you know, this is a discussion worth having. I don't want to just blow this off and we can poke fun at it because it does sound a bit ridiculous given the industry that they're in, but let's have an actual discussion. At the end of the day, it is their choice how they want their game to be played or what they want. I mean, if you want to cut off a very huge portion of potential audience and revenue, not just for you, but for the people that work with you and whatnot, that is completely understandable. But I think we should get into a discussion of whether modding hurts games or not. And I see from different perspectives why some people would be against modding and why modding can actually be a good thing, whether you're against it or not. So that whole statement that TeamKill Media made just based on the fears of modding is a choice, indeed. I wouldn't say it's the smartest choice, and hearing that their rationale basically boils down to, you know, we're scared someone's gonna make the character sexy, you know, or vulgar or whatever, but it's very out of touch for them to do that. Because first of all, modding isn't some rogue chaotic force that's just out to ruin games. It's not some entity that's like, we're gonna make all games bad that are modded. Modding is literally one of the reasons gaming culture thrives. It's been around for so long, decades even, and it stems from something very human. And you know what that human thing is? I know it's very difficult to find nowadays, but it's called creativity and the desire to personalize experiences. The whole reason why gamers started modding games is because they wanted more. They wanted to expand on something that they already loved. They cared enough about it to even want to do it in the first place. Modding basically takes these games or franchises from great to legendary, and you can see in some of these clips that I'm showing, people who have taken games like GTA and have remodded them to make them look more natural, to make them look more modern or more realistic. I mean, the reason I've even stuck around with Minecraft as long as I did was because of all the different mods and the Pixelmon mods. I absolutely love those. The Hunger Games mods. It made the Minecraft gameplay always new, and it gave me so many other different things to do. And because of that, it made it more fun. Why? Because modding gives power to the player. People want to feel like they can expound on what they like and make their mark on something. And it turns the static product, even if they're not developing anything else in the game, into a community that's always evolving because there's always new content. There are quite a few YouTubers that have videos of top 10 Minecraft mods, top 100 mods. There's so many different things that are added to the game that are modifications that make the game more adorable, expansive, and that feeling of novelty. I mean, Minecraft is one of those games that there's always something new, specifically because of the modifications that people are always making. You got stuff from texture packs to full-blown gameplay mechanics. And what does Mojang do? Are they like, oh my god, you guys are gonna make vulgar things? No, they actually encourage it because they recognize that modding is good for their game. It boosts replayability, makes the community bigger, and the biggest thing of all, it keeps the cash flowing. I mean, they don't even really have to do much. The community does it. Keeps people coming back, keeps people playing, brings more enjoyability to players, and keeps the money flowing into the people who develop the game. I mean, I know that this is a thing, right? Oh my god, we don't care how much money. Okay, if that was really the case, then make the game free. If you really feel that way, then stop the pandering and make the game free. Right? Now let's talk about the other issue that TeamKill Media, that's such a funny name, TeamKill Media. They're a team that's killing media. But anyway, what a weird name for a company. Anyway, the other thing they said is, we hold our voice actors and actors with high regard, as well as our artistic vision for the game and story, and reject any form of destroying that with sexual mods. The best way you can get someone to go ham on something is by telling them they can't do it, especially if they're like paying for it, you know? It almost makes me wonder if this tweet was made as a sarcastic gesture or something, because they know that people are gonna take it that way, because I'm having a hard time believing that this person didn't make this in jest. But just in case they were serious, as some of the answers seem to be, let's address it as such. So anyway, yeah, the part about sexy mods, the part that clearly is keeping the studio up at night for some reason. Why do people make characters sexy? Why? Because human beings are horny. Shocking, I know, but here's the thing. It's not about disrespecting the voice actors or developers. I know this might sound crazy, but it often has nothing to do with you as a developer or the actors. It's just about personalization and wish fulfillment. Players aren't saying, hey, I hate your artistic vision, so I'm gonna ruin it. They're saying, I like your game so much that I want to customize it. I want to make fan art of it in my own way, engage with it in my own way. Imagine if I felt horrible because people were making sexy versions of my character, which they do. But imagine if I put my character out there and then I get mad at the internet for doing what the internet's doing. I mean, they're not really ruining my reputation. They're not harming my ability to make money or to live my life. It's a sexy fan art of my character. They care about my character so much that they want to draw my character as being sexy or fabulous, whatever. Why should that be something? I just don't understand the psychology for this. I don't find that disreputable to me either. And honestly, blaming sexy mods on tarnishing the reputation of voice actors is a really stupid thing to say. I'm sorry. Because the actors aren't the character. You do know that, right? They're just voicing the characters. Here, let me show you something real quick. I know this is gonna sound ridiculous, but let me show you something real quick. Hey girl, you looking sexy. Oh my god, you think so? I brushed my antenna just for you, daddy. Yeah, girl, you brushed the antenna. Why don't you put it in your mandibles? Clean it for daddy. Really? You really want me to? Wait, where's your husband? He's screwing the queen right now. We're good. Yeah, raise that abdomen in the air. Pop that shit. I'm doing it, daddy. As uncomfortable as that was, almost the same level of discomfort that I have watching these badly rendered feet on my screen right now of your game, you do realize that those ants are not me, right? I'm voicing them, but I'm not a freaking ant. I mean, I could be in a world, you never know. But if people were gonna make a fan fiction out of those two ants and expound that story that has nothing to do with me, the only thing I did was lend my voice to the character, which AI could do as well. And I'm sorry, as we're talking about AI, I think that this kind of perspective is actually really harmful, because what people are gonna start to do is say, you know what, to make it a little bit more safe for actresses, since they're so fickle and so worried about how people are going to tarnish their reputation just because they're making modifications of a character that these people merely voice, why don't we just use AI AI to do it. There, everyone's safe, and put these people out of jobs. With AI taking over everything around the corner, which I like AI, but I also understand people's misgivings of it, you're actually working against the very people you claim you're trying to protect. Because then what people are going to start to do is say, well, you know what? So we cannot have to run into this situation where these people are offended by everything. We just won't use human beings anymore. We'll just generate our own voices and use those. There, problem freaking solved. Is that what you want?
Is this what you want?
And here's the other issue with TeamKill's argument, where it might seem as though they're tripping over their own self-righteousness. To a lot of people, it would seem as though TeamKill Media is out here acting like mods is like this ultimate insult. Like anybody who makes modifications of a game are automatically doing it for malicious purposes. I think they're looking at it all wrong and broad stroking everyone's intentions as though everyone who's doing that is somehow disrespecting the artists or the artistic integrity. That's not the case. Mods aren't this malicious act of vandalism. Most of the time modifications are made, they're a celebration, a way for people to show their love for your game. Nobody, and I mean nobody, unless it's a very small fringe of people, is going to spend hours on coding new assets and textures or mechanics for a game that they absolutely don't care about. It's not hate, it's passion. It's giving the same kind of entitled energy that Cynthia Erivo, the actress from Wicked, gave people who made a fan-made poster of her and Ariana Grande in celebration of the Wicked franchise. This means that you're just thinking about you and not your community that you're trying to build or the people that you're trying to reach. Whether it's sexy mods or silly mods or full-on gameplay overhauls, these are just different flavors of homage. It's this really big way of people saying, hey, I love this game so much that I'm going to spend countless hours tweaking it to make it even more fun for myself and others. How is that making a joke of anything? It's not. I mean, that is honestly, to me, the ultimate form of celebrating something. As so long as the modifications aren't taking money out of the pockets of the original creators, if it's just fan art or a texture pack or something that could even, I know this is gonna sound crazy, encourage or give you ideas of how to make the game better so that you can commercialize on it. And that's the way that most developers would look at things. But no, instead of embracing that love, TeamKill, like Cynthia Erivo with that poster, decided to perch themselves on this very wobbly little pedestal of artistic purity that's basically them saying, hey, we're too noble to let you peasants modify our game. That's how it's coming across to your community and even the potential community that you've now cut completely off. And mind you, you're talking about a very small amount of people. The majority of people who would play this on PC, like me, are not modders and probably would never play the game with modifications. So you're cutting out 90% of your potential audience because you're afraid of the 10%, if it even is that much, is going to modify your game. And maybe only a small subset of that percentage of people would make anything vulgar. And this doesn't make you look like guardians of creative vision. It makes you look very fragile. It makes you look overly sensitive. And it's a really bad look. It's a very bad look. It's a very bad marketing strategy, as in like, we're scared someone might not engage with our art exactly how we intended, and we can't handle that kind of fragility. Here's a sucky thing about it all. Once art is out there, it doesn't solely belong to you anymore. I mean, it's still yours. You are allowed to commercialize it. You're allowed to make money off of it. It is yours. But as for people interpreting it, remixing it, doing stuff with it, that's what it's there for. People are going to play with it. And yes, sometimes modify it and make the main character fight zombies while wearing a ridiculous dick suit or something. And that's fine. That's the beauty of art. It's meant to evolve in the hands of the audience. Trying to control how people engage with your work, it's not going to protect your vision. It's strangling it. And honestly, you're going to end up creating the very thing that you didn't want to, because now where people would have been modifying the game as a love letter, now they're going to look at you viciously and say, oh, you're sensitive? Oh, this bothers you? Oh, we're gonna go above and beyond to make sure we now purposely offend you. This is the internet we're talking about. I don't know if people are new to this concept of how the internet works, but the more you say something is gonna bother you, especially if it pertains to your art and stuff, oh, you're gonna give people the big go ahead to do that. So let me ask you a question. Let's say you don't want people modifying it. Cool, but now you put it out into the ether where you're going around saying, to add, we also have a very specific vision for this game artistically, and we won't compromise on that. Period. How are you going to deal with the people making digital art about it? Let's not even talk about modifying the game or making mods for the game. Are you going to have a problem with the insane amount of people who are going to be posting this on Pinterest, DeviantArt, Tumblr, if that still even exists, Rule 34? Like, I mean, what about the internet as a whole? And this still isn't going to stop people from modifying the game, because you do realize people can rip stuff off the console versions to put them and make them available for PC, right? Like, anything you can think of, humans can achieve when it comes to technology. You give them a challenge and say that you don't want them doing this, they're going to be like, oh, really? I bet. And they're gonna do it just on principle because you made a big deal about them not doing it and excluding a huge potential player base, PC gamers. And granted, now I consider myself a PC gamer. I was a console gamer for the longest while, but there are a significant portion more of PC gamers, I believe, than there are console gamers all put together. Just saying. It's more readily accessible. And the irony about all of this, because nobody sees this now, they all have this holier than thou type of attitude until their game starts not doing well. They start losing business and realizing, well, damn, that money does actually look kind of good, or not even the money, just the legacy that you're leaving. Now your game is going to fade into obscurity because you were too busy clutching those pearls that nobody even really wants. And the ironic part of it is that these mods that people would do, they don't just breathe life into games, they extend the lifespan of your product. They're going to build communities. They're going to cause people and challenge people to be more creative and turn the game into this cultural moment. I mean, Bethesda, CD Projekt Red, Mojang, as I mentioned before, The Sims, all of them knew this. Freaking, not Red Dead, Rockstar. You see, they have virtual characters that lead very adult lives in a lot of these mods. You don't see these companies crying about, oh, they're tarnishing our actors' reputation. I mean, are we serious? They're too busy swimming in money and community goodwill. They're like, oh wow, we built a whole community. We built this for the games. By you coming out and making tweets like this, you're basically telling everyone that you made this game for you. You alone and nobody else. All that matters is how you want your game to be played. And that's fine. There's nothing really wrong with that because people are still going to play the game as it was intended. You're acting as though 100% of people are going to see your game come out and they're all going to be like, wow, let's all 100% of us modify the game to be something completely different. That's not how that works. If someone is paying a lot of money for a game or a product, they're going to want to experience the product as is. And then after that, maybe they'll decide to play the modded version, but I guarantee you most people won't. And I know a lot of people are thinking that people are hating on them for criticizing them about this, but that's not what this is about. Nobody's trying to change your game. Your game is still going to exist. I know this sounds crazy, but after, let's say the modifications come out, right? After the modifications come out, guess what? The original game that you made that people paid for, it's still going to exist. Minecraft, at its core, still exists. The Sims, at its core, still exists. Red Dead Redemption 2, Grand Theft Auto, all of those games, the original version still exists, and people are still buying it, and people are still playing it. As a matter of fact, the reason why I even wanted to get back into GTA was because of the mods. And then it made me want to actually sit and play through the game. Same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, Red Dead Redemption 2, I actually got to play because of South Park. If I'm being completely honest, South Park put me onto that whole episode that they did. I'm like, damn, this game looks really good. That's one hell of marketing that they're doing. And I am enjoying the game. But the mods, even when I put it down for a little while to go play other stuff, the mods made me want to come back. I was like, wow, this is fun. I want to try this. And then it makes me want to continue the story. So when TeamKill Media is saying, hey, we don't trust our audience to appreciate our art in the right way, what they're really saying is we're scared of losing control. And that's not very noble. That's very sad, in my opinion. I think developers are at a stage where they just need to get over themselves. It's not about you. I mean, some of it is about you. You have a passion. Your game is going to be out there. It's art. Let people interpret it. They play it the way they want to play it. Wonderful. If they decide to modify your game for whatever reason, sure, why not? Most of the people who are going to be streaming your game are going to be playing it. They're going to be playing it the way it was meant to be played because ain't nobody spending $70 so they can just modify the game. Most people aren't going to do that. If I'm going to pay that much money, I want to get the freaking story and the game that I paid for. But yeah, I would say developers, I understand where you're coming from, but then if you're that sensitive about how the internet works and how communities work, then you're not going to be long for this world. You have to get out of your own way because if you don't, your pure vision is going to be sitting on a dusty shelf while other games continue thriving with mod product community is stealing the spotlight. You know, there was this book. I'm just going to scroll through Twitter as I do this, but there was this book that we had to read in school. And it's about this father who got this premonition or this vision, or someone told him that his son was going to end up doing his mom or something. Oedipus? I don't know. I think it was Oedipus. I could be wrong. But they were trying so hard, tripping over themselves to try and avoid this scenario, that they ended up making it happen. You know? So in the case of this, instead of fostering what could have been a passionate PC community, you end up alienating it before your game even came out. Modding is not the enemy. It's one of the reasons people fall in love with games in the first place. By refusing to embrace that this is just a reality of how the internet is, TeamKill is proving that they don't understand their audience. And that's honestly a much bigger insult to the art of gaming than a sexy mod will ever be. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but if I made a game like this, the best thing that could ever happen to me is that my game is interesting and loved enough that people would push the boundaries of trying to mod it or remix or do things with it. As long as they're not taking money away from me, they're still supporting me. But guess what? That is putting more eyes on my game. I would love that. Are you kidding me? My song is good enough for people to do mashups of it. That's an honor. If it comes to the point where my game is forgettable enough, or whatever product I put up is forgettable enough, that people just quickly are like, that's not even interesting enough for me to want to freaking do a mashup of that. Why would I don't want to touch that. All right, I played it and I forgot about it. Whatever, next. That would make me honestly feel very sad as a developer. That's just me. I want people to be talking about my stuff. I want to see the creativity that people can pull from off of the back of my creativity, which in turn inspires me to put or add things to my game and fosters that community closeness. And a lot of people are missing that nowadays. There is this divide, this chasm that is ever growing the larger, because developers or the people that create things don't understand the people that they want paying for their product that they're putting out. But if that's your noble point, if that's the hill that you want to die on, that is perfectly fine. Just don't be surprised. And if you're not surprised, that's fine. But don't be surprised if you end up starting to alienate people, or people end up doing the very thing you don't want them to do in the first place. The last thing I'm going to say, and this is very important, this holier than thou type of crusade that they're going on, especially in this day and age with the culture between gamers and game developers ever widening, people will see this and automatically be like, you know what, your game looked cool until you opened up your mouth. It's not that you don't have a right to say anything, but especially in this day and time with what is going on, I don't think that was the right call. I didn't think that was the right thing to do. Even if you didn't want to put it on PC, you could have just left it at, hey, we're just choosing not to put it on PC. At least until after you release your game and your game has been out for a while, because this is just going to tell people, oh, wow, this is basically a big F you to the 90-something% people that didn't even have any intention of modifying your game. Cool, because your nuts are very delicate and you prefer to soak them in ice water, which I know, conundrum, right? Doesn't make any sense. So you're gonna fuck all the rest of us. Fuck off, you PC guys, because this 1% of people might mod the game, and an even less percentage of people might play the modded version of the game. Fuck you guys. Discrimination, am I right? And that's not gonna foster a very good reaction from people, whereas people might just ignore it. Now you're gonna have people like after you. Now you're gonna have people responding to your holy crusade with their own holy crusade, or what they believe to be their own holy crusade. Just saying. I'm just telling you the way the internet works, because clearly the studio has no idea how it works. But anyway, good luck. One more thing before I stop. This is the game trailer, right? And these people are hypocrites. Here you're like, we don't want you making vulgar stuff of our game, which is why I'm open to the possibility that this is all just one big troll or joke. But here you are saying this when you have this character wearing freaking whatever the frick she's wearing that is so tied up in her ass whack. And you made sure that the light hit it in that way. You are talking about, oh, we don't want them making vulgar, sexy stuff. Are you kidding me? Her cake's hella thick. You could have had her wearing what every other game developer does now, where they make everyone look like nuns and pastors. But no, you had to put her in a dummy thick freaking gimp dominatrix leather looking pants where the sun is kissing at all the right angles so we can see how big her cake is. And you're talking about people making vulgar, sexy modifications. Are we for real right now? Stop.
Alright, tip number 50. Mods can be a really helpful way to increase and help your Pokemon gameplay experience.
I've looked at over 1,000 mods. In the search of finding mods, I can really add some immersion into RDR2. Everything from new survival mechanics, more things to do, and even some total overhauls that'll change the way you play the game.